Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to this series, Language Learning Around the World. This is interview number 12, and I'm excited about introducing and interviewing today's special guest, Giulia Berlato from Italy. She's been an Italian teacher for about 10 years, and she's running her own business as well, Spaghetti Learning. She teaches business Italian and business communication skills to expat managers and executives. So welcome, Giulia. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity.
So, oh, you're welcome, very welcome. So tell us about yourself. So who is Giulia?
Well, as you said, I'm an Italian teacher. I live in Italy. This is a question I get asked a lot because, for example, you are not living in England. I live in northern Italy, up in the hills, very close to the mountains. And apart from teaching Italian, I try to have a lot of experiences in the wild, mostly to add something to my lessons. As one of my students pointed out when I told them I was bitten by a pit bull and I had to struggle with my bare hands with this dog
Wow.
in order to free my hand. He said, "Oh, you always know how to make an Italian lesson. So interesting." It's like, it's my finger we are talking about, but okay.
Wow, a pit bull.
A pit bull, yeah.
Wow.
I can say I stopped a pit bull with my bare hands.
Wow, that's crazy. They're very ferocious.
yeah, I can witness the thing. But yeah, I also chased my dog, was chasing a baby boar. I had to kill a snake in the garden because I thought it was a viper. I thought we have wolves around the house, but it was just some kind of reindeer or something. But yeah, life is very interesting and wild here around, and I really like living here.
Okay, good. So you teach Italian. So how did you get into teaching Italian?
Well, after I graduated, as it happens for so many people graduating in Italian literature or humanities, I was like, oh my God, what I'm going to do now. So I enrolled in this master degree for teaching Italian to foreign people. And I taught Italian for about 1 year. Then I tried other things like teaching at school. I worked as a linguist for an IT company for 1 year. And when I moved here in this country, forgotten by God and humans, as we say, I was out of the lists for public schools because they are very regional and so on. So I told myself, why not looking for teaching Italian online? And now what I can say is, why didn't I start earlier? Because I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. And it's been almost 4 years that I'm doing this full time with full energies and growing as a teacher and teacher entrepreneur. And yeah, so after a bit of going around and roaming, I found myself in the right place. And I recognized that it was the right place for me, this career.
Yeah, that's great. And before we get back to your business, can you tell us more about your master's in teaching Italian? What was that like?
It was a 1 year course, blended. So we had this online part with classes on Moodle and a lot of interactions between the learners and the teachers. So not just read these slides and answer the questions, but there was a forum in which we discussed experiences, doubts, and so on, and group courses online. Then we had 2 months to spend in Perugia, where one of the most important university for foreigners in Italy is held. They have a lot of courses beside this one for teaching Italian as foreign language. And there we took other classes, and most importantly, we had this kind of stage with classes were prepared for us. So we prepared other students from the university, foreign students. So we prepared each lesson starting from scratch. We decided the topic, we found the materials, we adapted them, and then we had the lesson with the students. We were recorded, so we watched that terrible moments of embarrassment in all together and give each other feedback. It was one of the best learning experiences I ever had.
Yeah, I remember when I first started teaching how nervous I was doing my TEFL certificate, but now I like observing and being observed. I think it's one of the best ways to learn. So you're very active on LinkedIn. That's where we met, and you post a lot of great slides in Italian. Obviously, I can't read them, but so tell us about the business that you have, Spaghetti Learning.
Yeah, well, I thought about this, and I would like to start with a quote from an Italian writer, Italo Calvino, who said something that really stuck me many years ago, which is that fantasy is an umbrella where it rains inside. And I think for me, my business is the opportunity to put all the things which are in my life, my values, my experiences, like the dog who bited me, and my adventures with my dogs and everything else, and creativity, probably already said, of course, language related stuff, all in the same umbrella, and trying to organize everything together. That's a first thing, and that's why, let's say, I started to have to think I could have not just private lessons with students, but a real brand to organize them. And I wanted to choose something. It is a bit stereotypical to call a language, Italian language business, something related with food, but I think it's part of our identity. I always say that I cannot have one lesson without talking about food in any way. I mean, what did you eat, or do you know this word can be related to food, or this and that. I always talk about food at least once per lesson. So I told myself, okay, I have to put it in the name.
Yeah, that's perfect. I like the name. So you focus on business people, expats. So where do they come from normally? What countries?
Yeah, normally it's not just one country, but normally from Europe. It's less common to have people from the US, even if I have some. And I have a lot of Spanish learners from Spain or Spanish speaking countries, and some from Germany and some from the UK. But yeah, Spanish is my main country right now.
Okay. So we were talking about this earlier. How big of a need is there for business Italian in Italy or in Europe in general?
Well, before starting, I wouldn't have said that there was this huge need for Italian in business-related fields, because you can always speak English as lingua franca, or yeah, without having to study French or German or Italian or anything else. But the more I work with people working with Italians or in Italy, the more I understand that talking a language and being into a culture is very fundamental for someone working with anyone, Italians or other people. And for example, managers who are in Italy, they don't just need Italian for eating a pizza in a restaurant and being able to order in Italian. But if their colleagues and co-workers see, they make the effort to blend in and learn at least some words, even if after 3 years, maybe when they come back, their Italian is still very poor, very basic, because they don't have a lot of occasions for practicing. Still, their efforts are recognized and appreciated by the colleagues, because it shows they want to be closer rather than putting a distance and saying, okay, my language or English is just fine, it works for everybody. Let's say like this.
So let's talk a little bit about the specific problems that Germans or Spanish speakers might have learning Italian. So for example, I studied Spanish in school, middle school, high school, and college, and then so my Spanish is good. It's not great, but when I was teaching English back in my home state in Massachusetts, I had a lot of Brazilians, and I realized, wow, I can understand Portuguese. So then I spent about a year hanging out with Brazilians, and I learned Portuguese. So Spanish helped me learn Portuguese. So is it, for example, easier for Spanish speakers to learn Italian than for Germans to learn Italian, or how does that work in your opinion?
Yeah. Spanish and all the languages coming from Latin have a lot in common, especially Spanish and Italian. We share a lot of vocabulary. The real struggle is to distinguish what is Itagnol, they call it, and what is actually Spanish or Italian. We have tons of false friends, or what we call not really not real friends, because the meaning is slightly the same but with other implications. But yeah, it's way easier for Spanish speakers to learn Italian, and in my experience, easier than for Portuguese speakers or even French speakers. Although all Neo-Latin languages, well, Romanian is another language because it's from Latin, but they have a lot of influences from Eastern languages, so it's quite different from Italian and other close related languages. And for German, I'm always surprised and delighted, because they usually have a great knowledge of their own grammar. They are very conscious of their rules, and Italian sometimes seems simpler for them because we don't have cases, for example,
Okay.
accusative, dative, and so on.
Yeah.
So they say, oh, just masculine and feminine, singular and plural. Oh, okay. That's nice. And
Yeah.
some grammar rules, they have a lot in common. So for more elaborate grammar, they have immediately a feeling for it. They can relate a lot, even if German is not a new Latin language.
So you mentioned, I think, English as the lingua franca, and you speak English well. So I'm just, and I know a lot of Germans do as well. So how does it work during your lessons? Do you teach only in Italian, or do students often rely on English to go from German to Italian or Spanish to Italian? How does that work?
I have to say that I rely a lot on English when it's possible. I know usually what they taught me is was to avoid entirely other languages. And of course, if you are in a class with some people speaking in English and some not, it won't be of any use, not inclusive at all. But since I have mostly one-to-one lessons,
Yeah.
if they speak English, we use English a lot, and I try, let's say, I try to avoid it for intermediate and upper levels,
Right.
even if it would be easier to say the translation. But for them, I try to explain the words in context, and then they say, ah, it is this word in English.
Okay.
I say, yes, but yeah, at least they struggle a little bit. They make the connection, and it's not given by me. So I push more for upper levels, but for beginners, yeah, explanations are usually a lot in English, and also there is a lot of translation to
Okay.
relate words.
That makes sense. So how do you like running your own business, being independent, or I think you said you're still developing it, but from a business perspective, talk about your business, if you don't mind.
Yeah. It's an adventure, let's say. I think the most difficult thing is to decide on what to focus on. I mean, I know what are my weaknesses. Like I'm not a designer, I'm not an IT person, I'm not into marketing or branding, and I don't want to offend people in professionals in those business saying, oh, you know, I'm a bit of a designer, I designed my own logo or something. But even if I want to ask for help, which I did, sometimes it's difficult to understand what to prioritize. I mean, do I need a website first? So I contact a web designer, or do I need to start selling? So I enroll in a marketing course or ask for someone in that field. That was is still kind of unresolved question.
It can be difficult. I was teaching online a while ago, and I'm going to get back into it because the business aspect of it for me was the challenge. But yeah, so let's talk about Italian and English. So we were talking about that earlier. We have words in English that we've borrowed, and there are false cognates. Does that confuse your students sometimes?
Well, a lot.
A lot.
Also, well, not maybe less than Spanish, of course.
Okay.
But let's say I try to have it as an advantage for learning some words in Italian. Let's go with an example. We say guidare to drive the car.
Okay.
So I try to relate this with guide or guidance or all these related words, because when you are driving the car, you're kind of guiding it. So that's why we say guidare.
Okay.
Not entirely another verb. And so, yeah, I try to reverse this, okay, it's a false friend thing into let's understand why we have the same root for some words and understand better why we use it in a way, and you have another meaning for that.
Yeah, I know for me, with my Spanish studies, my dog is getting loud.
Mine are sleeping.
Yeah, oftentimes the similarities between English with the Latin roots and Spanish being a Romance language help me, but sometimes there's some confusion with false friends.
Yeah.
So
and another thing that happens is that sometimes we have those very clear Latin words for us. I remember explaining to a student, she's 16, the word adamantino, which is adamant in English. And I told her, well, it means adamant. She was like, what? I was like, okay, yeah. You are 16, you don't have to know the entire English vocabulary.
Okay, yeah, she's a little young.
Yeah. I was like, okay, yeah, let's explain it in another way.
Yeah, that's another factor. It's the student's age and background.
Yeah, background. Yeah.
But yeah, in English we do use Italian food words and music words. So those are very common. We don't obviously pronounce them the same, especially in American English.
Well, neither we do with a lot of English words, so that's fair.
Yeah, food words tend to be borrowed quite commonly rather than translated, like Spanish and Korean food words are, it's the same as with Italian. So I have my grab bag, that's what I call it. It's just a list of different things. You can choose one or more or none. You can come up with your own idea. There are no wrong answers, just share whatever you want. So these are the topics I have.
Okay.
So teaching young learners, native and non-native foreign language teachers, translation in foreign language learning, neuroplasticity, professional development, learner motivation, fluency versus accuracy, English as a lingua franca, or anything else.
Okay. I'd like to start with learners' motivation.
Okay.
Because yeah, I'm thinking about it a lot, because one of the things I like to teaching to adults, and especially working people, is that they are highly motivated usually. Well, sometimes it happens that my company wants me to have the Italian course, so let's get done with it. But it's yeah, it happened to me maybe 1 or 2 times, hundreds of students. And so yeah, the basic motivation usually is quite high. The students are ready, they want to learn. But I always like to set smart goals, not just I want to improve my Italian because, you know, I work every day with Italians, because that leads to less focused motivation. Because if you then ask them, what do you want to learn? What do you want to focus on? They say, well, everything, because I have to write email, understand them in meetings, go around in the restaurants, and so on. So everything, please. When we focus on what is urgent, what is the main need, we can also enhance motivation. I mean, if the meetings are the thing the one student is struggling the most about, we focus on business Italian formulas used in meetings, a lot of understanding, people talking naturally, and not like, you know, the textbook dialogues. Oh, how are you today? Today we are talking about this, but just, you know, noises around and so on. And usually that works for motivation too, because they see they are improving in the area they really want to improve about. Then we also talk about different types of pizza and what not to order in an Italian restaurant. But yeah, because spaghetti learning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to nurture an already existent motivation with some special cares according to special needs.
Yeah, definitely. Motivation is very important. Do your students seem to focus more on fluency or accuracy? What's more important to them? For example, here in Korea, a lot of students are, or not just Koreans, but it can happen with anyone. If students are really focused on accuracy, it can actually hurt their fluency because they're afraid to talk and make mistakes.
Well, usually it really depends on the personality of the students.
Yeah.
I have some, I won't say it's an introvert extrovert thing, but probably also related to that traits, those traits.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have students which their main goal is make myself understood. If I get the pizza I want, I'm fine. Thank you.
That's an accomplishment.
So yeah, so I have a lot of Spanish students at first lessons trying to talk, just talk, and sometimes I have to stop them in the middle saying, okay, let's translate this bunch of Itagnol words into real Italian. And others who say, oh, I cannot say anything, even if they are Spanish and working with Italians since 20 years, because they want to understand properly what's going on. So there is no this or that. I mean,
Okay.
depends really on the person. Of course, upper levels, usually they are more interested in being perfect in Polish, they're Italian. I remember a former colleague of mine, she's from Argentina, but I didn't know she has a quite common Italian name. And so I discovered that she's not Italian one time when she made a mistake, and she said, "Oh, my husband always says people think you are ignorant. They don't think you are foreign because you speak well, but when you do a mistake." So yeah, advanced students want to avoid this usually, but not all of them.
Okay, yeah, mistakes happen, and even native speakers make mistakes.
Yeah, of course.
I just have a couple more questions. So do you have any special tips for language teachers or language learners? Any keys to success, in your opinion?
Yeah, it was another topic I was giving a lot of talks recently, because as it probably happens to you and all the teachers around the world, what can I do for improving my language skills? And I'm reading a lot of posts about do this, do that, with a lot of nice suggestions. But what I learned from my language learning and language teaching is that it's better to focus either on what you really need or what you really like to do. I mean, if I were to move to the US and starting working in a company, I would need some business English because I'm very weak on that. I would have to focus on pronunciation. So even if I love to read books, maybe I can do that in my free time if I have extra time. So my possibilities are two in that case. Either I follow what I really need, so I listen to a lot of TED Talks or yeah, business related things, or I say, okay, this is my free time. It's not my learning time, so I'm not using an app or enrolling in a course with a teacher. And so I do what I like the most, reading, and I improve because I'm doing something I really love. So that's my advice. Try to focus and understand what is important for you, either for need or for pleasure, but decide your own way, figure it out. Because just randomly going around speaking with natives, well, if it's your need, okay. But for example, for me, it would be a nightmare. I'm not very sociable person. Won't learn a lot this way.
No, that's true. That's definitely true. So, Giulia, is there anything else you want to say or share before we conclude?
No, thanks. But I guess that came to my mind.
So, Spaghetti Learning, you're on LinkedIn, and people can contact you there. Is there any other place they can contact you? Is that the best place, LinkedIn?
It's the best place.
Okay.
Yeah, for now I'm sticking to LinkedIn. I don't have a website yet.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
Yeah, LinkedIn is mine.
All right. So Giulia, thank you very much for sharing your expertise and your experience, and thank everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.